Imagine for a moment that your life is like living in a Manhattan apartment with the blinds down 24/7. You've learned to navigate in that artificial twilight. You know every corner of your daily routine, and you believe that constant productivity is all the reality that exists. But one day in the middle of your morning commute or during a Zoom meeting, something happens. Something you can't explain in your next performance review. It's as if an invisible force suddenly raised those blinds, and for the first time in your adult life, you see the vastness of human potential that was always there, waiting for you to disconnect from autopilot. If you've made it here scrolling between notifications and deadlines, it's because something inside you is sending an alert you can't silence with another cup of coffee, something you can't solve with another productivity app. And before we continue this journey together, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel, because what you're about to discover could be the game changer you've been waiting for without knowing it. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is just the first step of a transformation your soul has been requesting for years. The reality is that every day, millions of Americans experience what I call glitches in the matrix. Those moments where you wake up at 3 in the morning with a feeling that something fundamental has shifted in your reality. Dreams so vivid, they make your day job feel like a screensaver. Intuitions that arrive like downloads from a source your LinkedIn profile can't explain. And most of these people feel completely lost because no one in their networking circle has explained that they're going through the most powerful upgrade available to human consciousness. Viktor Frankl, the renowned Austrian psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps, discovered something game-changing during the darkest moments in history. He observed that those who managed to find meaning in the midst of extreme suffering didn't just survive, but emerged as completely upgraded versions of themselves, with an understanding of life that others would never reach. Frankl didn't know it then, but he was documenting the beta testing of what we now know as spiritual awakening in the Western context. But here's the part no life coach is going to tell you. Spiritual awakening isn't a quick fix you can complete in a weekend retreat in Sedona. It's a complex, often challenging process that develops through specific stages that most high achievers go through without even realizing they're in the middle of the most important transformation of their lives. And it's precisely because they don't have a roadmap for this process that many get lost along the way, confused and scared by the changes they're experiencing in their high-performance lifestyles. Modern neuroscience, funded by universities like Stanford and Harvard, has begun to validate what ancient wisdom keepers knew intuitively. When we go through moments of profound existential crisis, our brain literally rewires itself. Neural connections strengthen in areas related to compassion, intuition, and expanded perception. It's as if the crisis were the catalyst that allows our brain to access capabilities that were always there, dormant, waiting for the right moment to activate. Dr. Abraham Maslow, who developed the famous hierarchy of needs studied in all business schools, dedicated the last years of his career to researching what he called peak experiences. These experiences, Maslow described, were moments of transcendence where high performers felt connected to something infinitely more powerful than their quarterly goals. What Maslow was documenting without fully understanding it were the first glimpses of spiritual awakening in the context of American achievement culture. Now, the question you're probably asking yourself while pausing your favorite podcast is, how can I know if I'm going through this process? The answer isn't as straightforward as we'd like, because spiritual awakening is as unique as your personal brand. However, there are universal patterns, signals that appear again and again in the American experience, like invisible GPS systems that guide us through unexplored territories of human potential. Have you ever felt that your current lifestyle has become too small for who you really are? Have you experienced that weird sensation of living someone else's life, following a script that society wrote for you? If so, I want you to know that you're not having a quarter-life or midlife crisis. You're not lost, and you're definitely not alone. You're awakening. The process you're living through is as natural as your morning routine, as inevitable as market cycles. But American culture, with its focus on hustle culture and instant gratification, has disconnected us from these sacred cycles of transformation. We've been taught to fear change, to resist discomfort, to always seek the comfort zone and predictability. But spiritual awakening requires exactly the opposite. It requires courage to step into the unknown, bravery to question everything you thought you knew about success and happiness. And here I want to take a moment to ask you something important. If what I'm sharing with you is hitting different, if you feel these words are touching something deep in your core, drop it in the comments. Tell us what you're experiencing, because your story could be exactly what another person needs to hear, to feel less alone on this journey that doesn't come with an instruction manual. The first stage of this awakening always begins with what the ancients called the dark night of the soul, but what I prefer to describe as the Great Reset. It's that experience where everything you believed was solid in your carefully planned life crashes like outdated software. It could be getting laid off from a job that defined your identity, the end of a relationship that seemed like your forever person, a health scare that forces you to confront your mortality, or simply that moment where you wake up and realize that the life you've been grinding for isn't really yours. Jung understood this deeply. He himself went through his own spiritual crisis between 36 and 41 years old, a period he called his confrontation with the unconscious. During those dark years, Jung experienced visions, disturbing dreams, and a sensation of completely losing his mind. But instead of running away from these experiences, Jung dove deep into them, studied them, documented them, and what he discovered changed not only his life, but our complete understanding of human consciousness and potential. This first stage, the Great Reset, isn't punishment from the universe. It's not a sign that you've done something wrong or that you're weak. It's exactly the opposite. It's the signal that your soul is ready to expand beyond the limits you've created through years of conditioning. It's as if the universe said, "It's time you know who you really are beneath all that programming." Transpersonal psychologist Stanislav Grof, a pioneer in the study of altered states of consciousness, discovered that spiritual crises followed predictable patterns. What traditional psychiatry labeled as psychotic episodes or nervous breakdowns, Grof reinterpreted as spiritual emergencies, natural transformation processes that, when properly understood and supported, lead to higher levels of psychological and spiritual functioning. The second stage is what I call the heart activation. After the reset, when the debris of your previous life has been cleared away, something extraordinary begins to emerge. It's as if there were a gradual awakening of a part of you that had been in sleep mode for years, perhaps throughout your entire adult life. Your heart, not just as a physical organ, but as the center of your emotional and spiritual operating system, begins to come online in ways you never believed possible. During this stage, many people report mystical experiences that would sound crazy in any corporate environment. They can be as subtle as feeling a deep connection with nature during a weekend hike, or as intense as experiences of cosmic unity that make ayahuasca retreats look like child's play. Colors seem more vivid, sounds richer, emotions more profound. It's as if the world had been upgraded to an ultra-high-definition version you never knew existed. But here comes the important part, and I want you to pay full attention to this. This stage of spiritual high and expanded awareness isn't the final destination. It's just a rest stop on the journey. Many people make the mistake of thinking they've made it, that they've reached permanent enlightenment and can now quit their day job to become full-time spiritual influencers. But the reality is that this stage of spiritual euphoria is temporary. It's the gift the universe gives you to show you what's possible, but it's not where you'll stay forever. The third stage is perhaps the most challenging of all, and it's what causes many people to abandon their spiritual journey completely. I call it the integration challenge. After the spiritual high comes the reality check. You realize you have to function in the ordinary world with this new, extraordinary awareness. It's like trying to fit an infinite experience into a finite body. a cosmic perspective, into a daily routine of meetings and obligations. This stage is marked by what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort we experience when we have conflicting beliefs or perceptions. On one side, you've experienced realities that go beyond what your rational mind can process. On the other side, you have to wake up every morning, show up to work, pay your bills, and function in a society that has no framework for what you've experienced. It's during this stage that many people experience what's known as the second dark night. Not the initial crisis that triggered the awakening, but a second wave of confusion and despair. They feel isolated, misunderstood, and often question whether everything they experienced was real or if they were simply losing their minds in epic fashion. But let me tell you something you need to hear. This confusion, this difficulty integrating your spiritual experience with your practical life, is completely normal. It's part of the process. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong or that you're not spiritual enough. It means you're human, and you're navigating one of the most complex processes human consciousness can experience in an achievement-oriented society. The fourth stage is what I call the wise integration. Gradually, after months or even years of struggling to integrate your new awareness, you begin to find a balance that actually works. You learn to live with one foot in the spiritual world and another in the material world without feeling like you're living a double life. You no longer need constant mystical experiences to feel connected to the sacred. You find the divine in the ordinary, the magic in the mundane, even in your most boring Tuesday meetings. During this stage, you develop what Daniel Goleman would call advanced emotional intelligence. But it's more than that. It's a form of intelligence that integrates the rational, emotional, intuitive, and spiritual in a way that makes you incredibly effective in all areas of your life. You begin to make decisions not just with your mind, but with your whole being. Your intuition becomes more reliable than any analytics dashboard, your compassion more genuine than any customer service training, your wisdom deeper than any MBA program. It's also during this stage that many people discover their true life purpose. Not the purpose society expected of them, nor the one their parents projected onto them, but the purpose that emerges from the deepest part of their authentic being. It might be something completely different from what they'd been doing professionally. It might require dramatic changes in their lifestyle, relationships, career path. But for the first time in their lives, they feel they're living from a place of total authenticity that doesn't need external validation. And now, before revealing the fifth and final stage of this transformative process, I want to ask you that if this content is resonating with you, if you feel you're finding answers to questions you didn't even know you had, please subscribe to this channel and share it with someone you know is going through their own awakening. Together, we're creating a community of awakened souls who support each other on this extraordinary journey that doesn't come with a user manual. The fifth stage is what I call the conscious service. Once you've integrated your spiritual awakening into your daily life, once you've found that wise balance between the mundane and the sacred, a profound impulse to serve naturally arises. But it's not the kind of service that comes from ego or guilt. It's a service that flows from the deep understanding that we're all connected, that your liberation is inextricably linked to the liberation of all beings on this planet. This stage is marked by what Abraham Maslow called self-actualization, but taken to a transpersonal level. It's no longer just about becoming the best version of yourself, but about using that transformed version to contribute to the collective awakening of humanity. Your life becomes a constant act of service, not because you have to do it, but because you can't avoid it. It's as natural as breathing, as inevitable as gravity. During this final stage, you experience what Buddhists call boundless compassion. You see the suffering of the world not as something separate from you, but as your own suffering. And you see the possibility of awakening in every person you encounter, not as something you have to force or evangelize, but as a truth you simply radiate through your way of being in the world. But here's the beautiful paradox of this stage. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you serve, the more fulfilled you feel. The more you forget yourself in service to others, the more you find your true self. It's as if the universe had been preparing you during all the previous stages for this moment of complete flowering of your human potential. Jung expressed it perfectly when he said, "The meaning of my existence is that life has asked me a question." Or conversely, I am a question being asked of the world, and I must communicate my answer, for otherwise I am dependent upon the world's answer. Your spiritual awakening isn't just about you. It's about the unique role you came to play in the great awakening of human consciousness that's happening right now on this planet. Every crisis you've gone through, every moment of spiritual high you've experienced, every period of confusion and integration you've navigated, everything has been preparation for this moment where you become a conscious catalyst of transformation in the world. And I want you to know something important. It doesn't matter what stage you're in right now. If you're in the middle of the Great Reset, feeling lost and confused, have faith. If you're in the heart activation, experiencing moments of extraordinary connection, enjoy it but don't cling to it. If you're struggling with the integration challenge, trying to make sense of experiences that go beyond words, be patient with yourself. If you're finding the wise integration, celebrate every small moment of clarity you find. And if you're in conscious service, trust that your contribution to the world is exactly what's needed at this moment. The journey of spiritual awakening isn't linear like a business plan. You can move forward and backward between stages. You can experience multiple stages simultaneously, like running parallel processes. You can spend years in a single stage, or go through several in a short period of time. There's no correct timeline, no perfect way to do it. There's only your unique path, your sacred journey, back to who you really are beneath all the conditioning. Remember Rumi's words, "You are the universe in a drop of morning dew." Your awakening isn't just your awakening. It's the universe awakening to itself through you. It's cosmic consciousness recognizing itself in the unique form that is you. It's the divine remembering its own nature through your human experience in this lifetime. Before saying goodbye, I want to invite you to be part of this community of awakened souls. Give this video a thumbs up if it has touched your heart. Subscribe to the channel to continue this journey together, and share in the comments what stage you feel you're in right now. Your story could be exactly the inspiration someone else needs to hear to continue their own awakening journey in this crazy, beautiful world. The world needs your unique light. The world needs your transformed perspective. The world needs you to live from the completeness of who you really are beneath all the masks and roles. Your awakening isn't an accident. It's not a coincidence that you're here, listening to these words at this exact moment, while millions of other videos compete for your attention. It's part of the universe's perfect plan for its own evolution toward higher levels of consciousness and love. Trust the process. Trust your journey. And above all, trust the infinite wisdom of your soul that's guiding you exactly where you need to be. Your awakening is your gift to the world, and the world's gift to you in this incredible moment of human history.